Today I'm just going to talk a little bit about helmets and mostly just some of the things that I've learned over the years. Now, none of what I'm going to say is gospel or anything. This is just something that I've learned from my own experience and my own observation. Now, this was my second helmet. My first helmet I bought at the motorcycle dealership, and it was kind of a cheaper helmet, whose brand and make I'll not mention. But I rode around with that for a little while, right when I first got started, and then this other place that named the Helmet Center in Phoenix. I went in there looking for something better, and they showed me a bunch of different helmets, and I tried them on, and I actually got fitted for this one. And they actually changed the cheek pads a couple of different times, and got an actual fit. And with the one that I bought in the dealership, I just put it on my head, and okay, that was a fit. That's not really a fit. So I wanted something, for the long term. And so this was actually kind of an expensive helmet. Retail was about $550, and I did get an MSF discount on it. So unfortunately, this helmet, the Kabuto Ibuki, was discontinued. And so after I had it for about 3 years, I started having issues with it, started having where this part wouldn't stay up very good, and when I opened it and closed it, it would squeak. It was like, and so I took it to the same place where I bought it, and the guy, he asked, it says, well, you mind if I just look at it, do an inspection? And yeah, so okay. So he put it on the donut, and he took out the inside liner and looked at the foam inside and all that, and all of that was all good. He said, and how he tested it, he said he rubbed it with his finger, and you don't get off like any kind of little granules or little particles of styrofoam, and because that's kind of a sign that your EPS is wearing out. And also, he kind of poked it with his fingernail. And he said when you poke it in just a little bit, find like a little spot on the side, and if it kind of pushes back just a little, then it still has the foam still has some elasticity. And so he said it's actually really good. And so he asked me, how I stored my helmet, and I told him I'd store it in the house just like this, so it's controlled, air conditioned, dry. And he says he sees a lot of people that leave their helmet out in the garage where it's hot. They leave it with their motorcycle, and that's what really wears them out very fast. Also, I also always have used a helmet liner, and from day one, they're just really simple. Just a little skull cap of different types, and I got different ones. And that also helps to keep some of the sweat and stuff, keeps hair and everything else out of your helmet. And so he said, yeah, that was a really good idea too. So he then asked, he noticed that the front chin bar, when it raised up, it made that big squeaking sound. So then he asked it again. He says, "Do you mind if I do a service on it?" I says, "Yeah, okay." And I didn't know that you could service or anything on this. I didn't know how to take it apart or anything. I just thought it was just a disposable, expensive item. But he took it apart and cleaned the hinge and put some silicone oil or silicone grease out of a little tube on there, and then that quieted it down really well. And so then I mentioned that the pads, the inside pads, were starting to kind of wear a little bit. And what I meant by wear is, I don't know if the camera is going to catch this. This is the old pad. And it started to wear a little bit, and just kind of snag, and it was starting to get a little bit flat. And the same with the original I don't know if the camera will catch that. This is the cover for the chin strap, and you can see right here. I mean, it's still totally serviceable, but what this was from putting my helmet on with not being clean shaven, and either have a beard or shave, one or the other, and you won't have this problem. And so these I recently replaced. I actually found them online, and they were really actually very cheap. They came from Japan. Now, I did say that the helmet was discontinued, but the parts are not. And this applies to whatever brand of helmet you have. Now, I had been doing some research, and several people said that, yeah, okay, after 3 years you want to replace your helmet. And usually the people that say that are people that want to sell you a helmet. And so I took it in, and then that's when they said that they can no longer get the helmets. But the technician who took my helmet apart, he said that last time they did inventory, he found that they had some extra pads and extra helmet liner. So he went back in there and grabbed them, and I bought them, and so I replaced all that. And these are still totally serviceable, but I washed them, and so it's, kind of have a new spare. So that was about a year ago. Now, recently I got a big scratch right here on the lid of my helmet. I don't know what I ran into, but I got on the bike and I thought it was a hair, but it was a big scratch, and I kind of polished it out. But earlier I bought a replacement for this, and it was only like about $30, and now on Amazon they want $104 just for a visor. And so once again I was considering just replacing the helmet. And so right before I did that, and the helmet that I wanted was it's a HJC, it's an ARFA 90, and it's the same kind of construction, fiberglass and carbon fiber and organic fiber, which is just very much stronger than the polycarbonate as far as abrasion, and of course it's lighter and it's a little stiffer. So I was kind of a big fan of that, but I thought I would just do one more good search of the internet, and I came across a place online that actually had all these extra parts. And some of the parts on my helmet was really wearing out, because when I would raise the lid, I would raise this up and it wouldn't stay. I would just barely move, and it would just like slide right down. And so what happened was these little pieces that I found online, they were starting to wear, and so it wouldn't hold up. And so, once again, I'll put the link to it in the description. But everything that I bought, including the $25 shipping, was $100. Which was like the price of just the visor. And so I was really happy to do that. And so now my helmet's coming up on 4 years old, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So I'm going to look at it again next year and see, if it's still in good shape, and I'll go back to the helmet center and get a second look, and maybe get another year out of it. I'll just go 1 year at a time. Now, the thing about the place where I bought the helmet, I've also bought other gear. I've bought pants and jackets and gloves and all sorts of stuff there. So I've shopped there fairly often, because shopping online is great, but it's nice to actually physically hold the item, and especially with a helmet. With a helmet, you want to be properly fitted for it, because I've had one of my friends. He bought a cheaper helmet. He bought it from Cycle Gear, and it looks really nice, but every time he pulls his helmet off, the inside helmet liner just pops off. It just stays on his head, and so he has to put his helmet liner back in every single time. So yeah, you save a lot of money, but this one I've had really, really good luck with. And so, you kind of get what you pay for in life. And so, anyways, so there really isn't a well-defined lifespan on the helmet. The technician there at the helmet center, and of course the owner, he came by and he chimed in, and he said, yeah, you can get 7 to 8 years. After that, you definitely want to change your helmet, because the fiberglass starts to get old, even if you can't detect it. I mean, there's no way to really test it. So about 7 years is pretty much the end of life. You need to retire your helmet by then. But 3 years, no way. I mean, easily 5 if you take care of them. Like I said, use a helmet liner. Keep your helmet indoors. Keep it in good condition. I keep mine right here, and a lot of times I just put this is the helmet cover that came with it. A lot of times, if I'm going to not ride for a while, I'll like lay it on top of it. I don't put it in the bag. I just let it sit here in the living room. So this was mostly for new riders, because I've not seen any information regarding this. Everything I've seen is from people who want to sell you helmets, and so you don't necessarily need to buy a new helmet every 3 years, but definitely seek out a place. Because I mean, this guy, he could have just flat out sold me a helmet, and I probably would have bought it. But instead, he went the extra mile and looked at it and told me, hey, you don't need a helmet. Which I got to give the Helmet Center in Phoenix a shout out, because I'm just so happy with it, and that's where I'll be buying my next helmet. So it's probably the most important piece of safety gear that you can get. The only thing more important is what goes inside the helmet. And so, always stay safe, and we'll catch you down the road. Take care.